US, Chinese, and a Japanese company on a licensing technology as well. Our speaker for today is no other than Mr. Vincent Tarajo, VP Business Development and Operations of Talino EV Systems.
Battery ka pa po? May battery ka pa? Wala po ito.
50%.
Good afternoon. Unlike my friend here, Steve, who has to speak and struggle in Tagalog, I have the unique advantage of talking Taglish to all of you, which is an advantage of being the last speaker in this group. First and foremost, yes, our name is Talino, and it's Tagalog, and it's all equivalent. But very few know that Talino EV Management System is actually an American company. And our technology and our patents were developed in our head tech center in Connecticut. But we, however, are very, very active in the Philippines because, as they say, this is where the action is. With due respect to my friend Emerson and with reinforcement from the other previous speakers, as you can see on this slide, you already know that as a company, we are committed to lithium-ion technology. And we are committed not because we are not an EV company. We do not assemble or manufacture EVs. EV manufacturers are our clients. And in fact, in terms of fit to design, our technology starts with who is our client and we must design it around their EV. Second also is we are not a battery manufacturer. And in fact, we have to talk to all battery suppliers and all battery manufacturers in order to make sure that our technology is optimized. Third and foremost, we are also not a charging company, but we also have to talk to charging companies. Again, it's part of the optimization that we have. So who exactly is Talino and what exactly do we do? We call ourselves a technology company because we think that our technology is the one that enables the advanced deployment of lithium-ion technology for application in the specific mass urban transport vehicles. So we're saying we're not into the cars, we're not into Teslas, we're into e-trikes, tuk-tuks, e-jeeps, not at this e-bus right now, but for that application, which, as you know, in the Philippines is very, very relevant. We are a company that is involved in smart technology. Our technology is based on cloud-connected technology. We are a company that is networked in the sense that we're very, very interested that where our technology is deployed, whether it's fleet, whether it's management solution systems, or whether accounting systems, that all of it is integrated into our servers. And we are a company that likes to make sure that everybody in the EV and all EV advocates, whether EV manufacturers, battery manufacturers, charging stations, and fleet operators, and most importantly, the day-to-day driver out there driving the EV hour after hour, day after day, is also enabled in meeting their objectives. How exactly did we start? The started is because the Philippines is obviously the home of 3.5 million tricycles. More than any other country in Asia or Southeast Asia for that matter, we have the highest per capita incidence of tuk-tuk type batteries. And that's a lot of tricycles. You yourselves are subject to it every day. You yourselves are subject to the pollution, the noise, the inconvenience that it causes every day. There has been a significant impact, and that's a given. But we are also here because some time ago, the Asian Development Bank made a significant commitment to really make sure that the tricycle, in the Philippines in particular, will be a showcase towards the phase-in of its electric vehicle program. And lastly, if in fact that is going to be achieved, and while the program itself has suffered some delays, if in fact it's going to be implemented, that is a big $18 billion market for everyone who is going to achieve the plan. Now, what are we looking at here? Again, in due deference, all right? Obviously, the reason why is we've talked to everybody. We've talked to lead acid manufacturers, we've talked to lithium-ion manufacturers, and obviously, what do all of these vehicles have in common? It's the fact that they all deploy lead-acid batteries. So we've been involved in technology that is actually as old as the car on the left there, but is also as new as the EVs that you're actually seeing here, some of which are actually there right now and are providing shuttles here to the convention and to your hotels. As somebody and a company that's been involved with all the operators, and we all know that theoretically, whether you're lead acid or lithium ion, we all have theoreticals. But in the end, what really matters is what is the actual experience. And in this context, in the Philippines, after talking to more than 3 to 4 years with actual people who have deployed with their lead acid battery or lithium ion battery, this is what we've learned. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go quickly through this because as Jasili said, the bottom line there is everyone we've talked to has really problems continuing, all right, and that's the operative word, continuing to use lead acid battery, even though the entry and use of lead acid battery has enabled them to start up their EV battery in order to start up their EV business. On the other hand, so people now have been talking, okay, so let's go lithium ion with all these problems that we have. On the other hand, we've also talked to everyone who said that just going lithium ion is not as easy as you say. There are a lot of issues that everybody's experiencing with shifting to lithium ion batteries. And I'll go through this very quickly. First and foremost is lithium ion right now comes in many forms, comes in many chemistries, comes in many shapes, and all of that itself presents already a problem in design, manufacturing, casing, integration, vibration test, ground test, and all those tests that you could make. Second and more important to all of you out there who have tried to offer their EVs with lithium ion battery, the first thing you do is sticker shock. When the first model of the Asian Development Program came out, and it was costing at around 600,000 pesos, there was of course a big disbelief and said, how could we let the barangays or the todas buy an EV at this cost? To their credit, obviously, they have reconfigured, they have done it such that the cost has been down, but there is always the cost of the electric shock. In fact, we all know, and all EV manufacturers know, that integrated-wise, a lithium-ion battery can cost as much as 40 to 55% of the total cost of the EV unit. And that's a very, very big factor. Lastly, and most important, is it requires some sort of an advanced electronic system. Most people call it the battery management system or the BMS, mostly to do basic functions of control of charge and discharge, balancing, and all other related functions that most BMS equipment have come to do. Having said this, and having seen both EV manufacturers and batteries push through lead acid and lithium-ion batteries for their EVs, the following, however, are still our conclusions. There are still many pitfalls, even for those who equally agree that lithium-ion is the way to go, even though the rest of the world and the rest of the four-wheel and up vehicle are going the way of lithium-ion. First pitfall is what Steve earlier mentioned, which is any lithium-ion battery approach will do. We had thought that by shifting to lithium ion, same as buying a Motolite battery, we were just going to get one, put it in an EV, connect it to a controller, connect to our motor, and let it run. Unfortunately, there are many of us who know that that just is the case. Number two, there were a lot of manufacturers who started using lithium-ion battery, but without a battery management system. And you all know, to those I'm talking to right now, the cost and the profit losses and the loss of energy and assets that this has caused you when you try to do this. I already talked about the fact that it's a very expensive vehicle. And in the last item, at this very stage, if you talk to all the manufacturers right now, the actual business model to make the adoption of lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles in the Philippines is still in a flux. No one has quite gotten it together yet. All right? There are problems of if you sell our EV to an LGU, just what kind of financing will the LGU get? Because right now, even with the green funds of the Development Bank of the Philippines, the Land Bank and other financing institutions, they finance the EV, but not the batteries. And therefore, if that's the case, who will finance the lithium-ion battery? There is also the case of the classic charging. Do we design a system wherein if we charge an EV overnight, do we want it to last the whole 8 hours or the whole 100 to 120 kilometers that a lot of e-trikes normally fly right now? Or are we going to design it such that in order to be cheaper, it can only do 30 to 40 over the first charge, and the moment it runs out of battery on the field, then call me, my truck will go there and I will swap it with another battery that will let you go to the rest of the day. These are things that are being struggled for right now. There is the question of the Boracay model. Everybody who goes to Boracay is in wonder at all those, more than any other per capita incidents. The island of Boracay has more EVs per square foot than any other place in the Philippines, and much more for Southeast Asia. How is it that for all the success of EVs in Boracay, we cannot transplant what is being done in Boracay and do it in major urban cities like Manila, Cebu, Davao, and all the other countries where there's bigger population? And lastly and foremost, I talked about the swapping, and that's another discussion altogether. Having said this, we summarize Talino's knowledge about the current existence of the EV market in the Philippines in the following 3 statements. Number 1, we still are on that side, and we strongly believe that everyone needs lithium-ion technology for its application in the medium mass urban transport system in the Philippines. And we're talking about mass urban traffic. However, whether we like it or not, there are very few who know how to handle lithium-ion technology as it's applied to mass urban transport systems that are being deployed in the Philippines right now and in similar countries in Southeast Asia. And most important, no one just wants to pay for lithium-ion technology. If, for example, we wanted to design one wherein on a single charge, you are going to, over 5 hours, you are going to give me a lithium-ion battery that is going to last me 100 to 120 kilometers, and therefore, for the whole 8 hours that I'm going to do, then you're going to have a battery that is going to cost you double than what is the cost of a battery that's only going to last you 20 to 35 kilometers. So how can I pay for that additional cost? Having said all of this, however, has really inspired Talino to say, we think we have a solution. To the credit of our president, our chief technology officer, and my best friend, Mr. Henry Abreu, we developed what we call the Talino solution to all of these issues that is undergoing or bugging the transition to lithium-ion adoption. First and foremost, if we can have a payment gateway that is going to isolate the cost of the battery away from the cost of the EV, we think that we can lead to a paradigm shift in the way that we look at the selling of a lithium-ion battery EV. That paradigm shift is the one in the middle. The one that says that instead of treating the lithium-ion battery as an asset or as a part or as a cost of the EV, we should think of it more as a fuel, as a consumable, and not as an asset. Therefore, having taken out the cost of the battery, you can now say that if theoretically you were selling a 600,000 peso EV, but now if you took out the battery and somehow think of a way by which the battery, the energy from that battery is deployed, your therefore initial cost is down to 300,000 or thereof, making entry much more feasible. And therefore, that makes the initial cut so drastic that you are now able to make the appeal of your lithium-ion powered EV much more attractive. So what is it exactly, this payment platform that Talino developed, such that we think that it's the game changer? Or let me refer to you on something that all of you are holding right now, your cell phone. Right now, 88% of all cell phones, for example, here in the Philippines, are still on what you call a load system. Load system meaning, I can only afford 100 pesos today to make my calls, so therefore I'm only going to buy 100 pesos of load. And you go to your Globe dealer and your Smart dealer, and then your smart operator, your cell phone can run for 100 pesos worth of usage of text, data, and voice until it runs out. Once it runs out, you have to reload. Given that same paradigm or given that same experience, what if we apply that to a system that Talino calls pay-per-use on EV vehicles? This is the Talino pay-per-use solution. It is first based on that battery management system on the left. But it's not just a battery management system that does basic battery balancing and everything. It has actually two levels of value plus benefits. First and foremost, it's the only BMS that is cloud connected. Therefore, being cloud connected at any given time, we can monitor the health of the battery, where the battery is, but at the same time, it enables you to collect all the data, all the metrics, all whatever you have on an on-given, on-demand basis, such that it's stored on a server, including the actual energy use per hour, per time of the day, per week, and everything. Having said that network, we are therefore able to allow a system that allows prepaid pay-per-use of the battery, allows daily micro payments, allows incorporation even of financing on top of the daily battery use payments, allows enhanced security, because just in case you suddenly found a battery, an EV out there, and it didn't go home for whatever is the reason, and you're not sure whatever is to happen, and you want to make sure you protect it. It allows you by remote control, because it's connected to the cloud, to just say disable, and nobody can make the battery, can make the EV run. Once you found it, you said, I'm okay, come home, you re-enable it, and you can come home to your garage. And most important, It allows you to do loading as easy as loading a cell phone. So let me tell you the daily experience of over 45 drivers who have experienced using Talino's pay-per-use system over the past 18 months. The idea is this: Mr. Driver goes in the morning, he goes to an e-trike and he says, "Where are you going to go today?" And he says, "This is my route for the day." And they know, for example, that this is a 100-kilometer route. Per algorithms, we know, and based on the pricing that was being charged to them by the operator, for example, in this case, 30 pesos per kilowatt hour, we know that I need to load you 220 pesos worth of battery juice this morning. What we do is we give an app, sometimes based on a smartphone, sometimes based on a laptop, and the fleet operator or the TODA operator just goes on his phone and he says, "Battery unit number 001, I'm about to load you 220 pesos. Kaboom! The driver looks at his screen, he says there's 220 pesos. He goes about going, flying, and as he goes through the day, he sees the 220 pesos go down to 200, to 20, 0, very much like the load on your cell phone is operating. Therefore, what are the two biggest benefits that Talino's pay-per-use system has enabled within the context and economics of the Philippine EV market? Number one, it has allowed you to actually achieve price parity even with your standard gasoline-powered tricycle. We're using tricycles here because they're the ones that are the most deployed. The one there on the right is a 4-stroke gasoline engine tricycle, which normally costs around 125 to 150,000 pesos. The one on the right, a model of which you see in our booth outside, actually costs the same as the gasoline-powered, taking out the cost of the battery because it's on pay-per-use. And obviously, from an absolute cost or absolute cash outlay standpoint, it is significantly less than the e-trike in the middle, which traditionally has been costing 400 to 600,000 with the cost of the lithium-ion battery in. Second, and most important, is on a day-to-day basis, we have actually based on upgraded metrics that as of the pricing of May 2016 gasoline prices, the actual energy that is consumed in terms of the battery is actually significantly less than what a driver pays for the gasoline. Now, obviously, the 150 is not what the EV driver does. The fleet operator makes some patong, and therefore he says, okay, I will make 20 pesos margin on it, but it still makes everybody happy because the actual use of daily juice is much cheaper with our system. Finally, this is the summary. We now actually have the PPRE result in economics that works. Parity cost upfront, cheaper ongoing cost, and as an investor, you actually have greater returns for an investor. This is a schematic diagram of the Talino pay-per-use ecosystem. It involves our technology in our BMS. It involves a charging station. It has the driver in mind. It will eventually use your neighborhood sari-sari store, 7-Eleven, as also a place where you can do e-load on demand. And finally, our server, which restores all the data that is being used in the usage of the battery in order for you to be able to use it for profitability, for business viability, and all. Now, at the end of it all, we all ask, is pay-per-use new? Is Talino's pay-per-use technology really innovative? In the end, my first answer is no, the concept of pay-per-use is not new. In fact, pay-per-use right now is the single biggest driver of why Africa and certain portions of the Middle East are modernizing because they're now using pay-per-use as the paradigm by which to pay house bills, electric bills, telecom bills, and everything. However, once comes along a company that integrates all the elements in developing a network and in one technology application makes it work such that it's now very user-friendly, it's now very fleet-friendly, it's now very investor-friendly. For example, take the case of ride-sharing. Before Uber, was ride-sharing common? Yes, there were a lot of programs on it. Common everything, cooperative everything. But once Uber came with a technology that really made all the elements in the value chain successful, it became a disruptive technology that is changing our lives. We believe that the pay-per-use solution that we have developed is a disruptive technology, and we hope that you can share with us this technology in order to make your EVs viable and hopefully go with us in our bigger goal, which is to finally make that green line there that says green solutions without the green premium. Maraming salamat po.